Life is basically a collection of moments and is lived from moment to moment. We sometimes seem to forget that, wanting to either hold on to moments that are gone or looking into the future for moments that we hope might bring us more joy, more contentment, instead of staying in the present moment. It's only human, but it's still not the best strategy if what we really wish for is contentment and joy of a more lasting kind. The reason why we do it at all is that it's automatic, something we do without being conscious of doing it. I've talked about it before on this channel, and yet the truth of it seems to dawn on me in new ways from time to time, especially perhaps when I experience some of the more momentous moments, if you will. Then I may stop for a little while and think, wow, this moment is upon me now. I thought it would never arrive. Or, oh, are all those past moments over now? I can't believe it. In a small way, it happens for me with the passing of the seasons, every year. I've recorded little bits of my life here and there over the past few months, thinking I would make a spring video. And now by the time I'm ready to edit and talk about it and upload it, spring is nearly over. Seemingly another fleeting moment, though it lasted, according to the calendar, 3 months. In my defense, I spent part of the spring in New York, and except for a few balmy days, this year's spring has been quite cold in Denmark. Sunny and light, yes, but cold. So I didn't stop and notice as much of it as I now feel I should have. Here I saw 2 black squirrels chasing each other up a tree. One of them leapt acrobatically to another tree. They're apparently a bit rare in Denmark, which I didn't know when I saw them, but I did stop and marvel at them, rare or not. And just as soon that moment was gone again. When the cherry trees finally bloomed, I did notice and rushed out to document that the blossoms were actually there, knowing from past years that they'll be gone again by the time I blink once or twice, and reminding myself that this is the cycle of nature, and that they will in fact blossom again next year, even if that feels like the very distant future. But more importantly, I try to say to myself that it's okay they'll soon be gone again, because otherwise I will be in a constant state of longing, dreaming of moments past and thus not quite accepting the moment I'm in.
Findus!
I walked a different route with Findus the cat one day, through a field where the cows usually walk. He was clearly doubtful with every step, but his curiosity took over, and after all, one of his humans was there with him.
Du godt. Kommer du?
I felt a bit guilty for leading him astray, worrying that he might now venture further away on his own, but there was no need. He's literally a scaredy cat. There's a certain radius from our house that seems to be his safe zone. We got him 4 years ago from a kind of shelter. He was a young teenager, as they said, and was very nervous and timid, so he's come a long way.
Om vi ses, Findus.
One day I walked from the outskirts of town where I live to the outskirts of town in the other direction to pick up my car at the garage, some 11 kilometers away. Google Maps told me it was 10 kilometers, so it's a bit of a hike. And I think I'm taking a detour to avoid all the big streets, so it's probably even longer. But that's okay, you know, if I can do the scenic route. For instance, by the stream in the middle of the city. Before anyone asks, this sweater is not handmade. I bought it in Tivoli in Copenhagen like maybe a year before I started knitting again. And this, by the way, is really soft wool. So, although it does also tend to pill. So that was just FYI for the knitters out there. I walked through a few nice parks and down a couple of pleasant streets, but also down a number of uninspiring, congested roads, where I really wasn't savoring every step. In fact, I was glad to have a friend that I snap with using Snapchat on a daily basis. I kept her up to speed as to how many kilometers I'd walked and how far I still had to go. And she gladly snapped me back, keeping me abreast of whatever she was doing, sharing the little moments. It kept me not only occupied during my walk, but also made me grateful to have a friend who isn't too grown up to do silly things like that. So thank you, Mette. Hail again, for the umpteenth time this week. I'm sometimes asked by viewers if there's no traffic or ugly buildings, etc. in Denmark, and of course there are. I just choose not to share much of that because it makes no sense to me to dwell unnecessarily on things that don't bring us joy. It's not the same as turning a blind eye, but deciding what you want to spend your energy on. 2 hours later. That goes for anything in our lives. What we send energy towards has a tendency to grow. So ask yourself what you want more of in your life. A few days later, I went to the hairdresser with my daughter, where I had a trim and she got her first highlights. We went for sushi afterward, her favorite, and it was again a rare moment. She spends most of her free time with friends now, so I appreciate any time she voluntarily spends with her mom. First time not wearing a coat or jacket. Truly is spring now. I went for cocktails with my one knitting friend, whose name is also Mette, in a really cozy cocktail bar that's more like a sitting room. The drinks were excellent. I definitely want more of those moments. You know you're heading into the better part of spring when you can take your laundry out to dry. It makes what is otherwise a chore so much more delightful. The sound of the blackbird is one of my favorite sounds, and I love spotting them on rooftops and in tall trees. They sound perpetually in a good mood.
Hi.
Birdsong in general is such a delight this time of year. All our senses know that it's spring, and I feel as if they all wake up properly during the month of May, here in Denmark at any rate. I'm no longer restricted to walking only in the middle of the day to experience daylight. The cows in the field behind our house have been let out and are grazing contentedly, and there are new baby cows who appear to be trying to find out what it's like to run. All these signs of life everywhere. When I was in New York over Easter, I picked up a book by Jon Kabat-Zinn, the American professor who was influential in bringing mindfulness to the West and make it mainstream. The book is called Wherever You Go, There You Are, and I'm slowly making my way through it. It resonates deeply with me because I've been heading that way for years, decades even, with setbacks on and off because we are only human. It also falls in line with the teachings of Eckhart Tolle and of the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, whom Kabat-Zinn was a student of. Being mindful has nothing to do with religion, but simply with paying attention and being aware of whatever moment we're in. As humans, we already have the ability to do this, but in our society today, we often forget it. In the book, he quotes Henry David Thoreau many times, the author of Walden, who went to the woods to live deliberately. Thoreau said, "Only that day dawns to which we are awake," which is the overall point of Kabat-Zinn's book too.
Så?
If we practice being aware in each moment, of each moment, as it unfolds, through mindfulness and meditation, which is not a science, but something we can all do.
Skal vi gå videre?
We will be more at ease, have more insight, be less prone to judgment. If not, the days, months, and years will quickly go by, unnoticed, unused, unappreciated, as he says. He also quotes a poster of a yogi in his 70s, in full white beard and floating robes atop a surfboard riding on the waves. You've probably heard the caption of this poster before. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf, which is basically what our life's journey is about. The waves will come crashing from time to time. But by living consciously and attentively, instead of automatically and in our heads, we will gradually learn to move with that flow of life instead of trying to resist it, which won't work anyway.
So it's a Saturday morning and I'm cycling to my yoga teacher class. I'm about to take the final exams. So today is going to be a written exam, a 2-hour written exam on yoga philosophy, and tomorrow it's my practical exam. So here's hoping. The weather is beautiful and I chose to take this education myself, so I shouldn't complain about there being an exam. In fact, I'm grateful to have the opportunity. Look, speed bump. And I mean, a May morning, this lovely, honestly. Love being able to cycle down there. See you on the other side. Well, it's Mother's Day here in Denmark, and I've just gotten my diploma as a yoga teacher, so I'm completely thrilled.
It was a lot of hard work and 200 hours of classes that began in August last year. I felt it was a new and challenging undertaking for me, and I remember thinking last year, well, that's that year taken care of. I wonder what will be on the other side of it. And now that's over. I passed the exams and it was joyous, but now also feels like a fleeting moment. Not perhaps as fleeting as spring, but still something that's over and that won't come again. I have to remind myself that it was another chapter in my life story, and that not all chapters need to include a new education and a new path. Nor do I know where this will take me, and that's okay too. The blossoms on the cherry trees were even more short-lived than usual this year because of storms, which left a pink carpet on the lawn. I didn't lament it for long because the lilacs were beginning to bloom, and there were new inhabitants in the birdhouse. This is why I love the spring and want to prolong it every year. Something new comes to life on an almost daily basis. Then, only a few days later, my youngest daughter Alma had her last day of school before exams, her final exams, finishing the 9th grade, which in Denmark means the last year of elementary school. When she gets her diploma in June, I will no longer set foot in the school that I've had a child at for the past 18 years. It really is an era that's ending, and although the moment is hers, it's also momentous for me. If I didn't already know that I was getting older, this is certainly one of those reminders that spells it out. Finally, the lilacs again. The lilacs, a flower I've loved since I was a child, and we rented a house for a while, which had the first proper garden I experienced, with lots of lilac bushes. Basking in the scent and the pastel beauty of them now evokes those moments from long ago when I first noticed them, and yet they're also of this moment, a spring that's nearly over.
Look who I met. Findus? Yeah, come.
This is Findus and me signing off.
Godt. Og gå hjem.
Thank you for spending some of your time with us.